Okay, it's Sunday, which means against my better judgment, it's time to go to Reddit and see what questions we can dredge up from this hive of scum and villainy. So, first off, misguided advice for climbing out of bronze. What do people do down here? Bad mechanics. Grind your mechanics on aim-intensive heroes. Do aim yeah. Lack of tanks and abundance of squishies. Play Winston, get on high ground, drop on them and zap them and punch till they die. Yep, Winston is a good one to play in low SR. Yeah. Basically punish people for being bad is about the gist of it. Tip for Zen mains, use Transcendence to clear Hammond's minds. Please do not do that. Instead, consider having a Reinhardt or Baguette sneeze in the general vicinity of Hammond's minefield, and that will be good enough. The minefield is not particularly threatening, and the mines take a long time to arm. You do not... Please save Transcendence for any other more important ultimates that are happening, like Graviton, Dragon Blade, Tack Visor, Barrage, Death Blossom. Please use it for basically any other ultimate first. Throw right up in VoD Within. We'll pass on that for now. Thank you. How to play Sombra on defense. Let's not. How do you fellow support mains feel about the adjustments? Just got back from vacay today, and to me Mercy's heals feel a lot weaker. Yeah, I mean, I've noticed that Mercy's healing seems like it's lower, but I don't feel like it's been a significant change, really. I have felt more inclined, because I play Bridget if at all possible, I have felt more inclined to change to Moira even if the other support is Mercy. Just because it seems like if the Mercy isn't particularly good, she'll have trouble keeping up now. So sometimes, I've felt more pressured to change to a second main healer than I have previously, which I guess is an indication that the changes have done something, but I feel like the big winner of the changes seems to be Anna. She's getting played a ton more. I see her in, like, basically every game now, which is nice. And I mean, it's, the Nano Boost all gives it, like, a degree of consistency, because now you can just use it to save the Reinhardt who's done something stupid, or the Winston who's done something stupid. It has a use outside of comboing it with other ultimates now, which is... It's sort of a Mercy Res-esque effect, but the person doesn't have to die for it to actually happen, which is nice. So, this is what I was advocating for having the speed boost put back on the ultimate for a long time, just so that it would give Nano Boost some consistency, but being able to use it just to make sure somebody doesn't die, in and of it, and then they are boosted afterwards still as well, in and of itself is a strong effect, mostly just because it makes some tanks really hard to kill at that point. It sort of also encourages picking an Ana on the other team, because, well, if the anti-heal is on the person, you can't save them with the Nano Boost, plus the added benefit of the Bio Grenade also being good against Zenyatta, who is also very popular at the same time, so... It sort of has this stacking effect, where one Ana sort of begets picking another Ana. I feel like Ana came out a lot better from the patch than I thought she would, honestly. Just being able to save the Reinhardt who's done some dumb shit, in and of itself is strong. Because, I mean, that's why Rez was so strong, right? And can still be strong in the right circumstances. But hey, if they don't have to die, that sort of takes the middleman out, doesn't it? Need advice on resetting and relearning how to play the game. Just chill. Is in all likelihood it? Is there really, like, a question in here? I feel like my loss of skill is 100% mental. That is typically how losing streaks happen. It's just... It eventually kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I made it to gold. Now what? What should be my focus now? What a broad-ass question. Usually I focus on paying attention to what my main tank is doing and supporting them in that effort. So what now? I can't really say what I'm having issues with, but I wouldn't be stuck in limbo again if I was. So I guess for a gold player, what are common mistakes happening here, and what can I do to improve past where I am at? So gold is the biggest thing at that point is probably like ult execution for most people, because you probably know how to use your hero roughly by that point. So ult execute, like getting as much value out of your ultimate, tends to be really important. Actually resetting and regrouping with your team after losing one fight is also a big sticking point for gold players, and I mean, you know, below in general obviously as well. People have a tendency to prolong their deaths, or not, or, you know, I'm just going to peek and do some damage while I'm waiting for my team to regroup. Oh, I died. You know, that kind of thing. Just like being patient and waiting for your team to regroup. It's also the point where you should be paying attention to what the enemy team are doing more, because below gold, you can kind of just do whatever. The enemy team are just going to all be running around doing whatever, so you can just kind of go around like, well, I'm just going to do what my hero does without thinking too much about it. You have to actually like pay attention with what the enemy team are doing as well, and start playing around them a little bit more, because they'll actually be putting a little bit more concerted effort into winning the game rather than they do in gold and silver. So, you know, but like ult execution and like actually regrouping with your team tends to be the biggest things for, I mean, low SR in general, but like by gold, you probably know how to use your hero, so those things become more important. New dive meta. Be thinking about how disruptive Doom has been. Yeah. Been winning across one in Crump. Wonder how underutilized he... Where have you been? Fucking Doomfist is fucking everywhere, and I hate it. Oh my god, Doomfist is just in like every single game I've seen lately. Has anyone run Winston with Zen, Mercy, Ana, and seen success? Dude, Doomfist's fucking everywhere right now. I was playing earlier, played like 6 games, and I swear to God, 6 of them had a Doomfist in them. Like, and that's at like the Diamond Masters edge right there. Like, fucking, I hate how popular Doomfist has become lately. When I play on my ult, which is sort of like mid-plat, I see less Doomfists, but still, like, a lot of Doomfist. Like, I mean, you know, that's just me. Anecdotal evidence at best, but I feel like Doomfist is fucking everywhere right now, and I hate it. Oh my god. I remember when I was like, damn, Doomfist seems like such a cool hero. I'm gonna play him now that he's a good hero. I'm like, I hate this hero. Just fucking take him out of the game, honestly, please. Oh god, be gone. So, general tips for Ana and Zen. My ult usage as Zen is questionable at times, and Ana I usually don't hold my ult, using it for a team fight on a whim, or just to stall the objective, usually on tank. I don't always know who to target with my sleep dart, and my nades need work. I mean, if there's somebody that like is gonna try and kill you, you kind of want to save the sleep dart from that. Otherwise, you're trying to land it on somebody who would be... Ideally, ideally, when you sleep someone, it's like a guaranteed kill, provided they're in, like, an exposed location. They aren't just, like, ass deep in their own team or something like that, right? Ideally, it's like a guaranteed kill on somebody because they can't do anything for 6 seconds. But bare minimum, you remove somebody from the game for 6 seconds, right? Provided they don't get woke up. So, just like tranking, like if they've got like a soldier way back on the high ground, if you just like trank the soldier, he ain't doing shit for 6 seconds. That's enough time for a team fight to be over, basically, by the time he wakes up again. So, ideally, you kill someone or just remove them from the fight for 6 seconds. But if you need to survive from like a Winston diving on you or like a Doomfist diving on you, then you'll end up using it for that most of the time. Grenades, I mean, you're trying to hit as many people as possible, ideally on both teams. Like if you can get your Reinhardt and the enemy Reinhardt with the grenade, you've probably won the team fight, because yours basically can't die, especially if you also have your ultimate. And the enemy Reinhardt has basically been sentenced to death. It's gonna be, you know, that kind of thing. Though Zari's in the game a lot, so she can kind of like purge it off, but ideally, you hit as many people as possible, and ideally, on both teams. For Zen, just save your ult, just you know, look at the enemy team, like, alright, they got Genji, they got Zarya, Hanzo, you gotta save it for one of the big ultimates, and like, if you're gonna use your ultimate on not negate one, like if you're just gonna use it to save somebody's life or something, that person needs to be real fucking important. Like, it has to be like a kind of like, we're gonna lose the objective if I don't use my ultimate right now kind of situation. But even then, if it's like the first checkpoint on a 2CP map, it still might be worth holding it, just because if you use it on the first one, there's the risk that they run up to the second one with the Graviton Dragon Strike and then capture the second checkpoint right after because you use Transcendence trying to save the first one. If you're going to use it not to negate a big ultimate as Zenyatta, you need to be really sure that that's going to pay off, because otherwise they're just going to turn around and wipe you after Transcendence ends. So you gotta be real careful with it. Let's see. Am I playing Ana wrong? I am always healing my team and not doing any damage, and supposedly you have to find a good balance, but everyone on my team is always critical health. Am I contributing? I mean, like, Ana can do damage, sure, but it's kind of one of those things where, like, you are only doing damage if there's nothing else for you to be doing with your time, because, I mean, you're playing a healer, so your highest priority is healing, so it's just about finding time to do damage when people don't need healing. Or sometimes people do need healing, but you can just stop real quick and take 2 shots at the Pharah and kill her kind of situation, you know? But, like, healing is your highest priority as Ana, so if you are mostly doing healing and not really spending much time doing damage, that's fine. You're doing your number 1 job, which is healing people. And yeah, you're trying to find opportunities to do as much damage as possible, but healing is the most important aspect still. Having a hard time against... Oh, Jesus Christ. Tank's not pushing, you know, you get to, and your team still won't push W. Yeah, you know, like, sometimes... I don't know, is this a... Usually, I can turn the tables if I go from support to DPS, however, when you do that, your team sometimes thinks you're throwing. It's just when I know how a player acts, it's like I can just read them like an open book, is precisely why I'd swap from support to DPS, because I can anticipate what their move will be encountered. I don't know, is this a wrong thing to do? So if you're leaving your team without a healer, yes, it's the wrong thing to do. If you're leaving your team with an off healer, then that is still the wrong thing to do. If you're playing the off healer, or you're a main healer, but the other healer is also a main healer, then if you think switching to DPS or tank is going to have a bigger impact than you staying on support, fair enough. Yeah, your team might think you're throwing, particularly if you can make the kind of switch like Mercy to Hanzo, you know, or Mercy to Widowmaker. Then they're going to be like, alright, yep, that's cool, awesome. So try to avoid doing that. But I mean, as long as you're still leaving your team with a main healer, it's not the end of the world. If you think that you changing to the DPS or tank is going to have a big enough impact to justify you changing off of support, as far as I'm concerned, go for it. Sometimes people don't know what's good for them, and you gotta do it for them, is the gist of it. What crosshair should I use? I like the dot, because it has very minimal visual noise around it. Like, the really big, obnoxious crosshairs, there's just so much extra visual noise going on, and it's, like, distracting. I hate it. I just like the dot, because it's nice and precise. Exceptions would be Hanzo's Zarya, because their crosshairs actually, like, convey information. Also find having, like, Reaper's crosshair the same is helpful, because it gives you a good idea of what his spread is like. But, I mean, you can also just get used to the spread, right? So... How to communicate with team on console. Reaper tip. Reaper has no secondary fire. Bind second fire to something you might want to spam. Ah, yes. It's in the refrigerator. Should I disable left shift as Reinhardt to reduce risk? I mean, the thing is, you do still need to use the charge, right? Like, the charge is still an important aspect of Reinhardt. It's just using it smart is the sticking point for people, right? 10 of them are worth charging in, and of those 10, 5 charges will be successfully executed. Sometimes, yeah, like, the thing is, you still need to use it, right? Like, it's how you kill tanks. You use it to punish people who are out of position. Use it to punish tanks who are out of position. The Reinhardt goes up too far. You just, like, crush them. like, you still need the charge. You can't actually disable the shift button, because it's still, like, you can't, no hero's like that. You can't just disable an ability flatly on a hero and never use it, right? Like, you do have to actually use it. You know, we joke about it, right? That if most Reinhardts unbound left shift, then their win rate would increase. Like, we joke about it, but you can't actually do that, because you do need to use the charge to punish people and, like, kill other tanks, usually. The thing is just that people want to use it because they're like, if I pin that dude, he's fucking dead, even though he's like 10 miles away and there's like 5 heroes between you and him, right? Like, the trick is that you have to know when to charge, which is basically like you want to keep the charge as short as possible, because the main reason charges get fucked up is the enemy team has 1,000 years to react to it, because you're charging from the other side of the map. You want to charge the person from pretty close to them, and then you want to be able to pin them quite quickly afterwards, right? Very easy examples, like Eichenwald, you're defending, the enemy Reinhardt decides, I'm gonna go left up into the store, right? And then he just strays a little bit too far away from his team, you're like right next to him, just pin him right against the wall right there, and then bam, he's dead, suddenly, because he's just stepped forward a little bit too far. You can't actually do that. You do need to just get used to using the charge well, which is basically, don't charge from 1,000 miles away. Also, don't charge, like, into the enemy team, if at all possible, because you also have to survive the charge at the other end, ideally. So, next, McCree or Hanzo. Don't even have to go further into that. Hanzo's just objectively better right now. That's just how it is. If Hammond starts terrorizing the meta, then McCree will be better, because pile driver, flashbang, no more pile driver. Oh, he's spinning round, flashbang, no more spinning. That kind of thing. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. So Hanzo is, and even then, Hanzo could just kill Hammond instead, couldn't he? You know, like, Hanzo's just objectively better right now. I don't know of any offhand. Someone's probably said something in the comments. If I could click on the fucking button, oh my god. Sinatra, these people, apparently. Yep, There you go. So, Genji, general Genji tips, tricks, and combos. Are there some things an aspiring Genji player should definitely know, like tricks or animation cancels and stuff? I never advise people to worry about animation canceling, because Blizzard fucking hates it and they always patch it out. The only exception is, like, Reinhardt canceling left click with shield is, like, the only thing that's ever managed to stay. Also, when do I right-click and when do I use primary fire? If I'm really close up and personal against a tank, I obviously use right-click, but what if the situation is not as clearly defined? The idea with the right-click, or the fan versus the line, is that you use the line basically when you can't get all 3 of them to hit, because the whole point of doing the spread is that it's like burst damage, and you'll do more DPS if you can get all of them to hit, because you can do your next fire quicker, rather than going 1, 2, 3. It's just 3, right? So the idea is that, like, if you can press right up against somebody and just throw, like, if you can get like 2 shurikens in, that's good enough also. The idea is to get like 2 or more shurikens in somebody on the right click, because then you'll end up doing like more burst damage to them. If, like, most people just spam the fan from far away because it's easy to get one of them to hit. The thing is that 1 shuriken hitting somebody doesn't really do anything. The idea is just to get better with the line when you're far away from people. So it's like, you know, the fan is like a shotgun, so you use it close to people. The line is like a more long-range poking weapon. So that's the idea with that one. Just generally good practices, especially since, like, Ana's so much more popular right now. When you're about to use Dragon Blade, just, like, dash above the enemy team, because then the Ana can't possibly miss you with the nano boost, which is a big thing. And then as you're falling down on them, you can kind of plan out what you're going to do. You go, alright, I see Mercy over there, dash, kill Mercy. Then I go over there, dash, kill Mercy. Then dash over there, kill Zenyatta, you know, that kind of thing. So, you know, just dash above the enemy team, draw the Dragon Blade, then Ana won't miss you. You can plan out what you're going to do. Harass from far away. Like, Genji has to use his abilities to kill people, usually, so If you're going to dash in, you have to be reasonably certain that you're going to get a kill, so you can reset the dash cooldown. Because if you don't get the dash cooldown, it's usually really easy to kill you. This is not always true. Sometimes you can dash in such a way where, like, you can get away with, like, deflect afterwards, but just generally good practice is, be reasonably sure you're going to get a reset on the dash, because if you don't get a reset on the dash, you're a lot easier to kill. And I don't mean, like, the dash has to kill the person. You can take that advice too far the other way, because usually what happens is you, like, harass them a little bit, they drop, like, kind of low, you dash up through them, fan, melee, and then you get the reset and dash away. You don't have to kill them with the dash. You can take that advice too far the other way. But Genji is kind of like a dirty scavenging vulture of a hero, where you can play real far back and just wait for an opportunity and then go in. There are also, like, two differing ways, like, predominant ways to play Genji. And one is more, and, you know, they both work, it's just kind of what you prefer. One is that just, like, you know, you spend your whole time behind the enemy team, like, pressuring people constantly, just being a pain in the ass, right? But then the other way is that you spend most of your time with your team, and you kind of, like, harass, because Genji's got decent range because of the left click and all that, and you just harass at range, and then when you see an opportunity to kill somebody, you dash through, get the reset, dash back to your team again. So there's kind of, like, two divergent ways, which is, like, you either spend most of your time with your team or most of your time behind the enemy team. And it just kind of depends what you prefer to do. Both styles kind of work out. You can find examples of both kinds, like Seagull, the archetypical, like, aggressive Genji, always behind the enemy team, and then, like, someone like Shattered 2K is a more conservative style, shall we say, mostly with his team, that kind of thing. And both are perfectly valid, you know, just kind of try them both out and see whichever one fits your style more. If the rest doesn't, this is good. If the res doesn't meaningfully raise the odds of winning the fight, don't res. Bad resurrects feed ults and prevent good resurrects. Yes, this is very true. Also, staggers your team. I would append to the end of that, because if you res somebody right at the end of their timer and then suddenly, oh, they die again, you just added 10 seconds to their timer. You know, that kind of thing. Refund requires manual review. Fuck if I know. Questions about climbing and competitive. My first question is, how does the SR system work? I've gone 18, 19 since placements, yet I have lost 100 SR. In League, your LP gains are based on hidden MR, so if your MMR is higher than your rank. That also happens in this, yes, and I know this is true because I'm a lazy bum who often, like, decays down, and when you're above Diamond, the performance-based SR is not meant to happen anymore. It's supposed to just be gain 25, lose 25. But if I decay down to, like, 3,000, when I win a game, it gives me 50 SR, right? So it still does the hidden MMR calculation. It's also, like, performance-based, where if your stats are better on your hero relative to your rank, that increases or decreases how much SR you gain. Up until Diamond, at which point it stops doing that. But it does also calculate your hidden MMR, but it's mostly based off your stats. I believe time spent on fire is also, like, the biggest overall contributor to your your SR gains, but it's performance-based and MMR-based. Is it easier to climb with certain roles than others? I play mostly support, so I do rely on good teammates more than I would if I played a DPS. I mean, yeah, that's true. Like, I don't play Mercy, like, especially if you're low SR. Like, once you're a higher SR, it doesn't matter so much, but, like, if you're low SR, like gold or below, don't bother playing, well, below gold, we'll say. Gold starts to be fine. Like, if you're below gold, don't play Mercy. She's way too dependent on her teammates actually doing something. She has very little agency over the game. Basically, any other support is better. I usually advise Moira or Bridget. Anna or Moira or Bridget would also be pretty good, you know. Just people who have more agency than Mercy. Because Mercy interacts with the game almost exclusively through supporting other people, right? So, if the people she's supporting are bad, there's really not much Mercy can do to swing the game other than just damage boost effectively and try to keep people alive, try to get reses, right? Someone like Moira or Anna, they have more direct ways of influencing the game. Moira gets to do damage as well, right? As well as having just a much bigger potential healing output than Mercy does. She has an ultimate that can be used aggressively and defensively. Ana has really impactful cooldowns, and her ultimate is also, like, can turn a mediocre player into a good player, right? And Bridget is really good at punishing mistakes, so she's better. It is technically easier to climb as, like, DPS because it's easier to excel on their statistics, which matters for the SSR, for the performance-based SR. Someone like Mercy just has less ways to excel relative to somebody else, so it's that can affect it, but, like, it doesn't really matter that much which role you play, no. But if you're playing a support, try to pick ones that have more agency over the game until you get to a decent SR, and then, like, worry about it less. But someone like Bridget is good at all SRs, basically, because she fundamentally revolves around punishing people's mistakes, and people make a lot of mistakes in this game. How do I deal with Rein when my team is lone wolfing? Like, I'm clicking on the wrong window. That's the issue right here. How do you mean? Are you the Reinhardt, or are you having trouble killing the Reinhardt? Normally, are Reinhardts whose shields rarely break because my team doesn't at all. Yeah. So you play Reinhardt? And obviously, as a healer, I can't do enough damage on my own. Playing Zarya and... Okay, so you don't play the Reinhardt. I mean, so if the tank, like, if they aren't breaking the shield, like, you can't really do anything about that. You just have to do better in the fights, basically, to compensate for it. You can change the people who are better at breaking shields, but, like, one person at the same time is not going to break the shield by themselves, so you still do need some amount of help. Like, if you think the shield predominantly is your main issue, if you're playing, like, the off-tank, you can play Roadhog or Orisa, and they're good at breaking barriers, you know? There's no support that's good at breaking barriers, so, you know, you're kind of out of luck on that one. You can pick Bridget, just because Bridget is disruptive without worrying about breaking the shield. Like, she can just stun the Reinhardt and then the shield is down, right? That kind of thing. But yeah, if you, like, want to break the shield as, like, the off-tank, change to Roadhog or Orisa. They're better at breaking the shields, but, once the team fight starts, it matters less about the shield. Like, it'll make it easier for them to engage the fight, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to execute the fight any better, right? It matters most for the other Reinhardt as far as shields go, because it dictates a lot of how easy it is for one Reinhardt to earth shatter the other. If one Reinhardt's shield is constantly full health while the other one is constantly low health, it's just much easier for the other person to land the earth shatter. Like, that's the real thing with shield like, the barriers breaking, is, like, you can't, like, sometimes you'll use it to get from cover to cover, but, like, the big thing is, like, the walking at them like, if you can just walk at the enemy team, then, like, if the enemy Reinhardt is just allowed to walk at your team, full health shield, it's just easier to earth shatter your team. Like, the actual, like, once the fight starts, that Reinhardt's not going to put the shield up that much, because he's going to be swinging at people. So, like, if you're playing Reinhardt, it's more of an issue, but then you can still play around that. Like, it doesn't necessarily matter if their shield doesn't break. You just have to be more patient, basically, which is an issue for Reinhardt players. But, like, if they aren't breaking the shield, that's not necessarily the end of the world. You just have to, like, execute better during the fight itself, because they'll get a better engage off as a result of having a high shield. And, like, you need your team to help you break it. You can change the people who are better at breaking shields, but, like, one person is not going to break a shield. Unless it's Bastion. Yeah, okay. Like, other than that, though, one person ain't going to break the shield. You do need help. You can try and help it a little bit better, but, like, if you're worried about, like, you can block it with, block Earth Shatter with other shields. You can disrupt you can disrupt the shield as, like, Bridget, regardless, because you can just stun the Reinhardt, you know? It's not the end of the world. If it's, full health, it just makes it easier to engage fights. Just tried shot call. I don't know if any of that made sense. I feel like my point got horribly lost in there, but hopefully you understood. Just tried shot calling for the first time. Had a lot of fun. What's some advice? just try and keep things as, like, succinct and quick as possible. Because the idea is to convey information quickly so that you aren't, like, clogging up all communication, basically. So just try and be, like, as concise and to the point as possible. Try not to stammer constantly when you speak, because if it takes you, like, 3 tries to get one thing out, then, you know, that's not good. Like, you know, like I'm doing right now. Try to avoid umming and ahhing when you're saying things. But also, like, people are more likely to listen to what you say if you deliver it quickly and with confidence, right? If somebody goes, I think we should, people are not going to listen to that. But if you go, left, now, then they're more likely to listen to you, you know? So try and just keep it as quick and to the point as possible, and try to speak, like, with confidence, because that's more likely to make people listen to you. Silver Ryan looking for advice on gameplay. How are one-tricks viewed by the community, especially in higher ranks? I don't give a shit as long as you're trying to win the game. You want a one-trick Torbjorn, I don't give a shit as long as you're trying to win the game, right? Like, I don't care. Though they are almost universally reviled by the community at large. I don't give a shit as long as you're trying to win the game, right? Like, I don't care. And I'm basically a one-trick. Like, I basically play Bridget almost the entire time, but I have, like, a 78% win rate on Bridget, right? Like, so who gives a shit, you know? If you're playing Torbjorn as a one-trick and you got, like, a positive win ratio on Torbjorn, good for you. As long as you're trying to win the game, I don't give a shit what hero you play. As long as you are trying to win the game. Hanzo still seems too good? Absolutely. He's all things to all people. Having a lot of trouble with Mercy after the nerf. Advice. I mean, it just, like, you know... Like, Mercy's a very binary hero, really. Like, there are some heroes that have, like, varying ways to play them, you know, like Genji, you know? But you only really have one way to play Mercy. So the best you can do is just try and be as efficient with your beam as possible, right? You'll probably have to spend more time healing than damage boosting than you used to. But, like, there's not really many ways for Mercy to adapt, right? You still do fundamentally the same thing, you just have to try and be as efficient as possible with your beams. What the fuck is that? I don't know. Struggle climbing. My problems when playing main tank, too aggressive with Rhyme. Common issue. Keeping aware of my other teammates and what's going on around me. I try and protect my healers a lot. Even as Rhine, I catch myself dropping shield to swing at whoever is jumping my Zen or Mercy. Usually ends with me and my healers dead. I mean, you know, sometimes that's the correct play. It just depends on what's going to happen around you at the same time. So what do? I have a wife and kids, so I can't hire a coach. Lol. Custom games, I've heard. I mean, just play the game. Like, just play the game and just try and be, like, cognizant of what you're doing. And then, like, if something doesn't work, just try and, like, troubleshoot the problem, right? Just, like, think about it. Like, what happened? Why did that not work? Like, suppose you're playing Reinhardt and the enemy team, like, your team gets earth-shattered and you end up dying as a result of that. So you troubleshoot the problem. You say, why did we get earth-shattered? We got earth-shattered because my shield broke in front of their Reinhardt and he earth-shattered me before I could earth-shatter him. Alright, so now let's take that a step back. Why did my shield break? What happened? Where could I have been more efficient with my shield up until this point so that I'm not in the position where he just gets to earth-shatter my team for free? Were there times where I was blocking trash damage, where I could have just been letting my shield regenerate? Were there periods during the fight where there was downtime where I could have taken my shield down because I wasn't really blocking anything? There was like a Winston tasing me, but I was holding the shield up anyway. Were there times I could have taken it down to recharge it? You know, what did I do in the fight previously? Did I not let it regenerate good and well enough from the last fight? Was it a constant, like, poking back and forth thing where I felt pressured to walk out with my shield up really low health, so I just never let it regenerate? You know, just what happened in the team fight? Why did we lose? What could I have done to prevent the thing that made us lose? You know, just try and be, like, cognizant of what happened and then, like, troubleshoot the problem. What happened? Why did that happen? What could I have done that could have stopped it? Just ask, like, why and how all the time, basically. What would I how would I place in this situation? And only duo with someone in bronze would I be more likely to place lower, even if I do exceptionally well. I don't think it gives a shit as far as that. I think it bases it mostly off your performance during, like, placements. But I don't know well enough, honestly. Stun comp, please help. Team as follows: Bridge, Roadhog, McCree, May, Mercy, Orisa. I've been starting to see a rise of people using the comp in Diamond, and I rarely win against them. So the thing is that I have also seen very similar team compositions coming up. Basically, you gotta position real fucking well. Because the thing is with, like, that team comp is it's almost exclusively people who punish you for doing dumb shit, right? Like, Bridget punishes you for doing dumb shit. Roadhog punishes you for doing dumb shit. McCree punishes you for doing dumb shit. And May punishes you for doing dumb shit. So you have to be really conservative. Because if you overstep even slightly, you're fucking dead, right? You are gonna get locked in place, and they're gonna take your fun away from you. One of them is gonna go, oh, I see you're having some fun over here. Be shame if something happened to that. And they're just gonna reach over and take that fun away from you. And then the Roadhog's gonna be like, oh, we're taking fun? I want to take some fun. And then he's gonna come over, and then May's gonna be like, oh shit, we're bullying someone? I want in on that. And then it's all over. They just all gang up on you, and then no one's having any fun ever again. So you just have to be really, really careful what you do, because you're gonna get punished really hard for even the slightest mistake. So you have to just play very conservatively, is basically the gist of it, because you will get punished really hard. Because, like, that's like what that comp does. It punishes you. So you gotta play real conservative. They've only got, like, a McCree that can punish a Pharah, so, like, playing Pharah is pretty good against it, as long as you, like, play carefully. Like, McCree by himself is basically your only threat, so you'll probably be fine, and then you can bully around the rest of them. Like, Pharah counters most of the people in this comp, right? So you can play Pharah conservatively, and then like, you can't get punished by most of them. So, like, Pharah is really good to play against it as long as you play around the McCree. Hanzo is always good. Like, it's a relatively staticky comp because, like, none of these people are fast, right? So they're all going to be pretty close together. So you can punish them with, like, Graviton, Dragon Strike, you know, things like that. Big AoE ultimates will punish them. But, like, you just have to play really cautiously, basically. Just generic tip for positioning. I don't know if this applies to tanks, but because I don't play them too much. Do they have long-range heroes? Do they have the ability to reach you? Yeah, Just thinking of those 7 things, and I can position myself accordingly. Yeah, the thing is, yeah, like, these are all things to think about, certainly. The ultimate goal is really to get positioning as just kind of being, like, muscle memory. Like, it's not, this is why I'm always bad at pointing it out in videos when people are positioning stupidly, is I'm just, like, not really thinking about it that much anymore. Because the idea is just sort of to get it, like, muscle memory. You just know when to retreat and when to advance, right? You don't have to think about it too much, because positioning is doing something you're doing the entire game, right? So it's the thing that is most important to get into muscle memory, because having to constantly think about your positioning just ends up taking up so much of your mental capacity if you have to be thinking about it constantly. And you are positioning the entire game. So, like, you know, these are all good things to think about, but ideally, you don't have to invest this much thought into it. Ideally, you just kind of, like, have it in muscle memory, how to move around relative to your team and the enemy team. Because, like, if you have to constantly ask yourself all these things, like, that's time you're not spending thinking about other shit, right? And that's how you end up missing opportunities, or, like, or end up making a mistake because you're overthinking yourself, right? Like, you can outplay yourself just as much as you can outplay the enemy team you think too much about something, basically, and you end up outplaying yourself. Comp is better. Ideally, the game is as close as possible. How should I go about recording it? Should I just record the next thing? Like, record a few, ideally. A lot of people do just sit down like, I'm going to record a game, and then that's the one they do. Ideally, it's a close game that you lost. Like, because then, if it's a close game you lost, there's a higher chance that you could have affected the outcome of the game, and that's the most important thing to try and identify, is, like, the opportunities where you could have carried the game. And then, like, the longer it is, the closer it is, the more likely you were to have made mistakes that can be pointed out, like, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing this, or, like, this was good, you should try and do more of that, or, like, here's the opportunity where you could have affected the outcome of the game. You know, you want to have those kinds of moments, right? So, ideally, it's a close game, a very close game, but, like, a close game that you lost, because then there's more mistakes made, there's a higher chance you could have affected the outcome of the game, all that stuff. Being positive doesn't do anything for my performance. Well, that's not true. I still lose over and over again, and no amount of studying my gameplay or smiling will change that. I suck at... See, you know, eventually it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, doesn't it, my friend? You know, if you're just, I suck and I always will suck, then, you know, you're spending so much time thinking about how much you suck, that you're not spending time thinking about how you could improve, are you? Like... You can't be like that. You gotta be like, I suck. What can I do about that? You know, that's a more productive outlook on life. Doing this, like, yeah. You won't improve if you think about it like that. You gotta actually, like, you know, it's hard. Yeah, improving is hard. And sometimes it takes a really fucking long time, right? Not everybody improves at a consistent rate, right? Like, some people improve really fast. Some people improve really slowly, you know? So, you can't be like that. You gotta just be like, I suck. What can I do about that? You know, that's not productive to be that way. Former high planet, looking for God. How should I approach learning multiple characters? I'm going to be and hop on the ladder. I'm well aware that most tips regarding heroes are like focus on 3 and 4, but that is too many characters I like and want. But there is too many characters I like and want to practice. So my question is, like in the title, how do I approach this? I thought about insta-locking them one by one. Then I decided if I want to keep the hero on my roster. I expect some of them I will enjoy, and I can't stick to one class, subclass, when I have almost 30 characters to choose from. Means, like, okay. So... yeah, you know, find the ones that you really like to play, and then focus on playing those heroes, right? Because if you like the hero, you're more likely, you're more invested in the hero, you'll improve faster at the hero if you enjoy playing the hero, right? Like, if you hate playing the hero, you're going to improve so much slower, because you're not having a good time, you're not as invested in it, right? Like, I fucking hate playing Zarya, and I'm still bad at Zarya despite putting effort into learning how to play Zarya, right? But I fucking love playing Bridget, and I got really good at Bridget really fucking fast as a result, right? Like, just find the heroes that you really like playing, and focus on playing those heroes. And like, this is a video game, you're meant to have a good time, right? Find the ones you like, focus on those as much as possible. And like, if you like fucking like 12 heroes, you know, there's gotta be a list in there. So like, you gotta be like, I like this hero more than this hero, and I like this hero more than that hero. Focus on the ones you really like to play. Try and be good at like one in every category, 1 or 2 in every category, but focus on the heroes that you really like to play. You will have a better time, and you will be more invested in learning the hero, and you will improve faster if you like the hero you are playing. Quick Winston tip. You can now damage the Mercy's heals. Oh, that's true, I suppose, yes. They did nerf it. I was also just thinking about a game I played earlier where I actually killed someone through the healing. I didn't really think about it at the time. Like, yeah, I guess you can do that now. Repositioning guidance, trying to learn the ropes. So I'm not going to pretend... quote from someone that the biggest difference between casual players and pros is the positioning difference, and I know my positioning is garbage, but I was wondering if there were any resources that could actually help with it. Let's go here and here sort of thing, but more of a... I mean, so... this kind of also ties into zoning, but here's the idea, is that this is how I look at it anyway, is... positioning is mostly about playing around people's zone of threat, right? So, what you're trying to do usually is you're trying to make position so that your zone of threat is as annoying for the enemy team as possible, while avoiding the enemy team's zone of threat as much as possible, right? And what does that mean? So, this is going to end up kind of going into zoning, but like... so, I always think about it as like, every hero has a ring around them, like a big circle, which is the area they're effective in, right? So... Roadhog, the most clear example, just imagine like a 21-meter ring around him, right? That's Roadhog's zone of threat. So we're trying to position so that we are avoiding his zone of threat as much as possible by either being outside of his range flatly, or by playing around things that block line of sight, because his zone of threat is also in his line of sight, right? And then also his zone of threat changes, because once his hook is on cooldown, his zone of threat suddenly shrinks down to, like, right next to him, which affects how you position as well. But that's how I think about it, is, like, each hero has, like, a ring around them, like, this is where they are dangerous. So you're trying to play around that area as much as possible. And, like, and then you're also trying to position yours so that you're threatening them while avoiding their threat, basically. So if you're playing, like, Soldier, right? Soldier's effective range is, I think, like 40 meters, something like that. I mean, we can check this, can't we? Hold on, let's go over here. Let's check what Soldier's thrown. Soldier 76 stats. Because, you know, let's try and be at least somewhat professional. Soldier's fall-off range is 30 to 55 meters. So it doesn't matter if he's got like a little bit of fall-off, so we'll say 30 to 40, right? So we're trying to stay within a 30 to 40 range of the enemy team. Or that's like our upper limit, right? Roadhog, 21-meter zone of threat. So our circle's bigger than his circle, right? So we can just, even if we go by the lowest one, we've still got 10 meters on him, right? Our circle is bigger even at the lower end. So we want to position so that our circle as Soldier is overlapping Roadhog and his team, but we aren't straying into Roadhog's circle. And if we are, we're staying near shit we can use to stay out of line of sight as much as possible, right? That's basically what most positioning revolves around, is playing around the enemy team's zone of threats and the enemy team's zones of threat and your team's and your zone of threat as well. That's how I think about it anyway. This is my circle. I want to put my circle on them while avoiding their circle as much as possible, is basically how I think about it. And then that goes into zoning, right? Like if you're playing Roadhog, right? Roadhog is a tank. Like, he does tank, even though we don't really think of him as being like a tank in the same way we think of like Reinhardt as a tank, right? Roadhog is a tank because he's a big zoning presence, right? Like, his 21 meter circle is very scary to stand in, because when you're in it, there's a risk of you just suddenly dying, and there's not a lot you can do about it, right? So when you're playing Roadhog, the way you make space is you position your circle so that it is as obnoxious for the enemy team as is possible. And that's how Roadhog creates space, is by zoning people with his very threatening circle, basically. That's how I think about it anyway. So trying, you know, and it varies, but basically it's like, where are they most effective? Like Reinhardt's zone of threat is he's got this pretty tight circle around him, right, which is his melee range. But then he also has this giant cone in front of him, which is Earth Shatter, right? So he's got like this giant, he's got this little circle around him, 5 meters-ish. I think it might be 7 meters. You know, he's got this circle around him, which is his melee range. And also, I'm sorry, I kicked the table. And then he's got this giant 20-meter, like, cone in front of him, right? Which is his Earth Shatter. So the zone of threat varies, and then sometimes it changes. Like, if you just saw him use Earth Shatter, the giant cone disappears. Roadhog, while his hook is on cooldown, it shrinks down to, like, point blank on him, basically. But that's basically how I think about it. Which is why someone like Widowmaker is strong, even if you're not great at landing shots, because her zone of threat is literally her line of sight, you know? Infinite range, basically. Anyway, so, moving on. How long does it take to get used to a mouse sensitivity? Varies from person to person. Stop saying, I need heals, or heal me, please. Very annoying. You always gotta say Ryan heals, or Hanzo heals, and I need heals. Just push, yeah, just generally good practice, even if you're in voice chat, just push the I need healing button, because here's the thing, I don't know who the fuck you are, right? Like, if you're going, Mercy, I need healing, I don't know who the fuck you are. I met you like 30 seconds ago, and I'll probably never speak to you again. I don't know who this whiny white boy voice belongs to, right? Like, you could be any of these people. Push the I need healing button anyway. I don't even join the voice chat, and that's the kind of thing that annoys me. Like, I don't know who the fuck you are. You don't mean anything to me. I don't know who your voice belongs to, right? Like, if my friend says I need healing, I know who that is. I know who they're playing. But you, I don't know who the fuck you are. Push the I need healing button. Don't start whining at me. You know, banging the table again. I'm sorry. On a low ground team, yeah, there's like a glitch or some shit going on right now with this. We'll just look at this video. We're not gonna watch it. Spring-loaded Guardian Angel Jump, Advanced Mercy Tech. Which I think is basically that you wait until you're, like, right next to the person, and then push space, and it, like, puts you above them or some shit. I don't know. We'll watch the video, or whatever. It might be a different thing. Tips to move from a high EDPI to a low one. What the fuck are you saying? Tips to start aiming with the arm? Fuck it, I don't know. Scope sensitivity? Fuck it. Whatever feels good. I just have it on default. I don't know. I don't play Widowmaker, so I can't really tell you the intricacies of that one too much, but like whatever feels good, basically. The same with all sensitivity-based things. Alright, so that's two pages. We're about 50 minutes in. Nice. Good job, team. We did it. So thank you very much for watching. If you did, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. And I hope you found the video helpful.